like always, I'll once I do my intro, I'll bolt and I'll be hiding in the background. So it's about our Be Insightful premium content offering, and then it's about this cruise that we are putting together. So the Be Insightful premium content offering, basically, it's a year-round 12 training track sessions where we do about 3 sessions per month, and all this information is archived as well. Cost $49 a month or $4.99 for the year. And most of these are CPE. They currently have a CPE webinar and then a follow-up workshop. We're going to be adjusting that a little bit to where it's more of content and workshop together. So that's part one. Part two, join us in July of next year, July 2026. I guess, well, it has to be next year. It's already past July 2025. So the 19th through the 26th of next year, we are taking a cruise. We're putting together a cruise called the Sea Days Symposium. It's going to be a week-long cruise. 3 days of that will have dedicated training, and it's training that's focused on helping you reach your goals, whatever those are. Basically, kind of scaling your business up or getting your business ready for growth, if that's what you want. And kind of the thought around it is we all, as small business owners, spend all of our time working. It's, I hate to beat it to death, but we work in our business, not on our business. This cruise will help you take that time to work on your business. We've started doing this internally, and it is impacting our business in a positive way. So, if you want information, just say yes. Let's go ahead and close out that poll, Matt, and then I will continue with what I need to do, and we'll turn this over so you guys can learn from Kristen. So we went through that. I do want to make sure you're aware that we do have this Future Forward this year is a monthly series. So we do have one more day of this week that we have tomorrow. Murph is doing a kind of a prepping for the 2026 Top Pro Advisor Awards, if you want to join us for that. September 4th, we have an App Academy, which is a tax-focused webinar. And then actually, it's a 4-hour session. And then in September, Future Forward, we're focused on practice management. October is tax. November is horizontal niche, which is kind of tax audit cast. Which way do you want to go with your firm? And then December, we're looking at reporting and analytics. Each of these is promoted individually, like each of the Future Forward weeks. So you have to register for them for the series individually. So register for September or October, November. I'd love to have you at all of those. And this information will be available as well in the archive after the events, and we'll also send you links to register. So this webinar is CPE eligible. You have to be here for 50 minutes, and you have to answer at least 3 of the poll questions. If you meet this criteria, we will send you your certificate within 24, maybe 48 hours. If you have any questions, please put them in I don't know if it's the Q&A or the chat that's live, whichever one it is. And then you will receive an email following this event with a link to the archive, which will be posted on our YouTube channel, as well as a link to the presentation that Kristen will be sharing. Matt will drop links in the chat for both of those. And then lastly, after the event, a short survey is going to pop up, and we'll just ask you to complete that survey so we can give some feedback to Kristen afterwards. So Kristen, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing your knowledge, and thank you all to our participants. And of course, thank you to Xero for sponsoring this session.
Thanks so much, Gary. I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm always down to talk about restaurants. I'm hoping you can see my screen. Is everyone's good on that? Gary, you'll let me
Yes.
know if it's
Yep.
not good. Okay, great. Hi, my name's Kristen Niceraldo. I've been helping restaurants for over 25 years in various capacities. I've been doing restaurant bookkeeping on my own, in my own practice since I think 2010. So I love restaurants. I learned bookkeeping inside restaurants. So they are truly my first financial language. So what I'd like you guys to do is imagine what you think about restaurant clients. Just think of all the bad things you think. And I'm hoping you see some of the ones you're thinking about right now on the screen, and maybe we can address those. So I hear a lot that they're apathetic, that they don't care, that they're low tech, uh, paper heavy, like very, very much love the paper, that they're cash strapped, that they're unresponsive, and that they're mercurial, meaning they are like just temperament all over the place all the time. These are the 6 myths that I want to address today. First up, we're just going to get right into it, that they're unresponsive. Restaurant clients don't communicate. That can be definitely true if you don't respect the way they work and the way their business works. You reach out to a client during what is their busy season, they're not going to answer you, just like when you have a busy season in January, maybe April, October, September, you don't get back to clients right away either. The complication is that restaurants have a busy season typically every weekend. And then they also have busier seasons, like maybe during the summer, or for some, it's the winter, if they're a seasonal business. So imagine having a busy season every week and someone that you're really relying on not being cognizant of that. And then also feeling like maybe that person has their financial future in their hands. So you can't say to them, like, hey, don't call me at this time. Instead, you just have to sort of make it work or feel bad and just ignore them. This is a timeline of how our experience mirrors theirs. We're actually a lot alike. We forecast needs for them, they plan for the hit, they hire, they train, they schedule. We bet how much cash we have versus how much time everything's going to take and hire accordingly. We Restaurants open the gates, they chase down last minute reservations. We put out fires and help our staff who we've got. They almost drown every weekend. We almost drown too, and then finally set boundaries. And part of how we set boundaries with our clients, which is why a lot of us think that restaurants won't work as clients because we have an impression that they don't respect our boundaries. If we can tweak our boundaries a little, they will absolutely respect them because they understand them. So, how do you solve this? You play upon their existing habits, their second nature systems. Every day, think of it this way, restaurant owners never sit down, or if they do, it's once a day and or once or twice a week. So every day there is someone in charge, typically sitting down, cashing people out. That's probably the first time they've sat down in front of a computer. So if you are insistent that they contact you only by email and look at your emails exactly when they come in, that's not going to happen unless you pause your requests to be sort of hangers on to their typical end of day routine. It's a great way to get them to respond because they're already in thinking mode. They're already thinking about financials. Number two, attaching things to their onboarding. They are constantly hiring, firing staff typically. So they typically do have a procedure for that. Also, they have procedures for if something goes wrong. So attaching one-off situations to these kinds of procedures where it makes sense, like labor, like, hey, we need a W-9 from all your vendors. This is when we need you to do that. When you're doing the petty cash with us, or when you're telling us about when we're talking over stuff about uh, manual checks you've written, let's say. And then finally, some of them do specials and they have procedures for that. So every restaurant's different, but trust me, they aren't procedureless. They aren't processless. They do have processes. And attaching what we need to those processes is the fastest way to get responses from them. Number two, restaurant clients are bad with money. They're always cash strapped. That's true and not true. They sometimes feel cash strapped. A lot of the times they feel cash strapped. Sometimes it's true. But a lot of times it's not actually true. They just don't know what's going on with their money because they aren't being told about their money using language that really rings home to them. It's not that they don't understand the words that we say to them or the reports that we give them. They don't just necessarily understand how those reports or those words attach to the real world things they've got going on. It's up to us to bridge that gap. If we can bridge that gap and translate between a financial statement and what they're seeing on the ground, suddenly it won't make more money go into their account, but it certainly will make them less likely to just feel all the time like they don't know what's going on with their money and act like a cash strapped business, even if they're not. How do you do this? Well, first of all, you take the things that you know best and that are important to them. It's sales tax, tips, labor, cost of goods sold, but labor in terms of unemployment benefits and reporting, the tech and coverage of requirements like licenses, permits, etc. This is the stuff that they know intellectually has to happen, but they don't have the time due to that workflow stuff or energy to figure it out. What they want to know from us is that we got you, it's covered. That will make them feel less strapped in general. They're not just feeling cash strapped, they're feeling strapped for energy and time. A lot of times they feel like money is the only thing they have any control over. If you can give them back some of their time and some of their mental energy, they will have a lot more resources to deal with cash. It's just the bottom line. And it's frankly a more extreme version of what goes on in any business, no matter what vertical you're in. If you can do these things for your client, they're going to have more bandwidth to connect with you on things that are less intuitive for them. So, how do we create things that speak to their business on the ground? Number one, we can align the categories and accounts that we use in the chart of accounts or like the classes to things they are already familiar with in their POS, in the way they view income, in the way they view their products, their cost of goods sold, and in the way they view their inventory. Ditto labor. How do they view their labor? What are the definitions of their labor? It's not for us, it might be like, oh, this is fixed and this is variable, so salary and hourly. But for them, it might be like, well, wait a minute, back of house and front of house are very different. I have to schedule them very different. I expect different things from them. Why not give them that insight too? Suddenly their financials are so much more relevant, and suddenly they are actually responding to our requests for information because they have a vested interest in those financials being correct. The other thing is use sub accounts in QBO, or in Xero, even better, use Xero's ability to add up different accounts and enter subtotals inside financials to give your clients an existing, consistent peek at the KPIs that matter to them. And this can be done for any niche. The other thing with restaurants is assign clearing accounts. It's just better. That's for you. To be honest, it makes reconciling easier. And if you aren't doing your clients' full books, if you're sort of supervising what they're doing, familiarizing them with the clearing account setup can really make reviewing their books and spotting problems before they get out of control so much easier. Even if things haven't been reconciled, seeing a big balance in clearing accounts is a heads up to see what's wrong. Okay, number 3 and number 4 are related. Restaurant clients hate tech and love paper. No. Restaurant clients have a lot of tech. They just don't like new tech. And they have a lot of paper. That doesn't mean they love paper. They just have a lot of it. What they're hoping is that we can wrangle the paper, and that if any new tech is required, we will take care of it. So this isn't actually myths that should shy us away from restaurant clients, if you're interested in advisory or expanding services at all, this is a great niche to serve because they're more than willing to say, please take care of this for me. And if they can buy energy and time, they typically will buy it. That myth that they're cash strapped sort of keeps us from seeing or capitalizing on the opportunities we have for expanded services. But the reality is, the more time and energy they have to focus on sales and streamlining their costs, the more money they will have freed up to spend on other things, to give us more business, basically. They want us to handle things. So, to nope, they do not love this. They do not love this about themselves. They want it to be better. They are begging for it to be better. First of all, they have a lot of tech. They've got a POS system. They've got a lot of external data coming from vendors. And nowadays, it's actually coming over a lot of it electronically and with uh, apps like Margin Edge and built-in apps and Toast and things like that. There is no excuse to have to deal with paper beyond just scanning it into another system. And quite frankly, they are up to their eyeballs in protocols and digital stuff. If anything, they have too much data. They have too much tech. And that is why they shy away from change in tech. Not tech, change in tech, because frankly, they don't have time to learn a new thing. So if we make it easy and it will save them time and money, they're up for it. How do we do this? How do we get them to adopt new tech? How do we get them to get rid of the paper? First of all, we got to set it up as much as we can in advance. Put in as many automations as we can. If there are things that we are going to need them to do, no matter what, exchange the energy that we need from there for them to do those things with other things we're going to automate. So we might not ever be able to not have them need to approve their invoices, right? Or scan their invoices. However, we can take away the extra time they're spending doing things like keeping their own cost of goods sold in like a greasy kitchen computer. That's a trade-off that most restaurants will gladly make. They would much rather mindlessly have invoices scanned, or like a hostess even, or a busser. Anyone can scan invoices. It's much, much better than spending that time trying to get their own cost of goods sold. How do we make that trade? Just by utilizing what we get out of scanned invoices to give them a better cost of goods sold. We spend less time, they get better numbers. It's a win-win. So the net time and the net energy it's a wash. If anything, they come out ahead. So this is kind of focus on the things that affect you and that you can control. For instance, having those automated invoice entries. Your weaknesses are things that affect you and that your client or an external force has control over. Those are the things you want to save up energy for so that you can make those trade-offs like, hey, I will take care of all of this. The one thing I need you to do is X. Opportunities are things that affect them. They don't affect you, but you can control them. You can make them better. That's a great thing to exchange for the things that you need from them. And threats are things that affect them and they are under their control. This is where there's a fork in the road. You can either skedaddle into like consulting and try and solve those problems for them too, or just take charge of those problems, be their go-to person and find someone else who does. Regardless, you can solve this paper and tech problem for them. And you get to set things up how you want in the bargain. It's great. Okay, we might want to have time for like a polling question right now. Yes? No? Okay, I'll continue.
Well, hold on a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
What's the Hold on one sec.
Sure. Um, any anyone that has any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. The
All right. Should it be what makes you most apprehensive about serving restaurant clients? Is that it?
Yeah,
All right. Sorry. There's a big long list of them. Zoom is uh, kind of weird how Zoom is set up. All right. There we go. What makes you most apprehensive about serving restaurant clients? We'll get this about another 5 seconds since I was a little delayed there getting that started. So 3, 2, and 1. If you need that CPE, make sure you answer. Here we go. Closing it out. Can you see those results, Kristen? So number 1 was
yep.
special requirements. Number 2 was personalities, work styles. Number 3, data avalanche. Then I already love serving them. All right, there you go.
Special requirements. That's a big one. Um, and I hear you. We're actually going to cover some of those in our our next couple of half-hour um, webinars. Okay, so myth number 5, and I'm hoping you can see the screen. Restaurant clients are moody or temperamental or just like emotional, short, um, sensitive, flighty, all those things, right? Just all over the place. This isn't necessarily a myth. It can be true in their dealings with us because we're one of their pain points. And they don't want us to be one of their pain points. They have a lot of other pain points. So if we cease to be their pain point, they will cease to be those people with us in most cases. How do we cease to be their pain point? We pinpoint their pain points. We become the solver rather than the source of complication. So balance, balance your margins, balance cash, just do the work of being ahead of things. The biggest way that you can be a source of calm or source of solution for a restaurant is to be on top of money, obviously, navigating the rules and regulations that they have to deal with. And most importantly, I think a lot of people miss be the person that's able to connect the far off future with the immediate. Restaurant owners are usually dealing with things that are very, very much on fire, sometimes literally. And so they need a lot of things to be happening. Uh, and their attention is going a million different directions. In the middle of the night, they're thinking, can I retire? It's, am I going to have enough money for the weekend and can I retire? And there's not a lot of thinking or planning going on in between, other than maybe like the next season. And so if we can give them day-to-day immediate things that when they're all added up can take them to a better future, if we can map out those steps for them and then make them easy to integrate into their patterns, into their habits, that's gold. So if you know that if you take $250 from the bank account every week and set it up on just an automatic pay to a particular loan, that it's going to be paid off 10 years earlier, and you tell them that, hey, we're going to do this, they'll accommodate the 250 a week. They just don't have the energy to figure out that 250 a week is going to do that for them. So if you can be that person who plans the steps from the immediate to the far future that will get them where they want to go in the far future, you're worth your weight in gold because their brains are too busy to deal with that medium interim time frame, that interim focus. We need to be the people that can zoom out just a bit and help them navigate that. So, how do you ask them what they want or what their problem is? If they're all over the place, you ask, you listen, but then you also observe. They sometimes don't know what their problem is, or they don't know how to express the problem, or they don't know that a certain thing would be a solution to the problem. I would bet you that most people who serve restaurants first, their first one or two restaurants, they have no idea that they actually have one or two solutions that would change that owner's life. Because as accountants, we think, well, everyone knows this. Or surely they know about these apps. Surely they know that if they did this or that, they must not want to, or they don't have time, or they're not into it, or whatever. No. Yes, they don't have time, but if you offer to set things up for them that will help them in the long term, they may not even know it's an option. You have so much more to give this particular industry than you know. And I'm just gonna like jump ahead to a concept I have in a further slide, but you know more about this industry than you do about a lot of other industries that you probably have served. Most of us have been inside restaurants. I think it's safe to say. How many of you have walked into a marketing agency and sat and watched them work? Or I don't know. I mean, certainly a lot of us have been in vet offices and doctors' offices, but maybe not as many times as, hopefully, not as many times as we go to restaurants. We know more about this industry than almost any other. 10% of people right now are employed by this industry: restaurants, bars, hospitality. So it is more natural. We have a more natural, ingrained understanding of how this business works than almost any other vertical we could serve. Restaurant clients don't give a fig about their accounting. That's the last minute. They don't know why they should. And that's a little bit our fault because we're not connecting those dots. We haven't given them reporting and things that serve their needs. We haven't done things that will make their lives better using their book. Some of us do, but some of us get so caught up in what is standard practice that we miss what could be specific practice, impactful practice for a particular client. So, how can we do that? Well, first of all, as much as we work very hard, so do they. This is one of those niches that I feel like, yes, you can serve one or two restaurants, and that's great. But it's infinitely better and infinitely less frustrating if you just commit to the niche, because the the way you can set up your workflows can more closely mirror how they work as well. And that's what we're there for. This is a niche that is screaming for what we now call advisory, but they've been calling just full charge bookkeeping for 25 years. They've had bookkeepers and accountants who were their go-to people for 25 years, at least. They need us. And that's very, very, very refreshing. And they actually have a really good idea of why we're valuable to them, especially when we start doing things for them. So, how do we make this connection? First, we cover what's required for them. That's that prior slide, the list, the licenses, the taxes, all that kind of stuff. Number one, know their hours, honor their workflows, keep what is working for them if it is at all possible. Choose your asks widely, trade energies, like things you really need for things that you can just solve. Guard the things where you're in their workflows intersect, and clarify your role. What are you exactly doing for them so they know what to expect? leverage what is already working for them. You can forestall problems. You can trade energies with them. You can help them be open to change, but you can also be open to changing what you're doing to more closely mirror what they're already doing. The opportunity is you get to offer more, you get to test more, and you get to move very quickly from a trusted professional to a collaborative guide for them. It is, again, an industry that is ripe for advisory. And advisory doesn't have to mean predicting the future. Mostly it means delivering what matters to them, even if it's not solely related to accounting. So being a consult on automation, telling them about things that might help them in that area, clarifying your offerings and letting them know that you actually do things they might not even know. And on the other side, prioritizing how the experience is for them, how much energy it takes, how much time it takes, in addition to how much money it takes. Leaving space to be a little bit flexible without it ruining things on your side, and keeping as much as you can your processes back of house. I know that it can be very tempting to tell our clients how much we're doing for them, to show them how much we can tell them, to show them the wonderful reports we can make and all the ways that we've made things better in their books. And it is truly beautiful what a lot of us can do in accounting and bookkeeping. But you know what? They don't care. They don't care any more than we care about how they can streamline a recipe to save 20 cents a portion. That is stuff that we can talk to our colleagues about. What we are selling them is ease and the ability to forget about it. And so the more we try to prove that we're doing something for them, the more it feels like something else they have to manage. The best gift you can give a restaurant client is that they don't think about you. They don't have to think about you. They don't have to think about their bookkeeping until they have to think about it. So advisory tends to be fading into the background and being there when they need to call someone. So you might think, okay, well, then it's clear we're order and they're chaos, right? And so that's all well and good, Kristen, but we are frankly two different kinds of industries and it just won't work. And I don't want to do that. And that's fine. You don't have to do restaurants, more for me. But I would just like to point something out. We're so busy trying to create a secret sauce of our processes and how our systems are going to work and how our tech is going to work and our workflows. And I think what we sometimes miss is that we're not the sauce. Our clients are the sauce. We're supposed to be the pasta. I learned a few years ago that pasta is actually created to wrangle different kinds of sauce. So the different shapes of pasta is optimized for different kinds of sauce to make sure you get the right amount and it has the right mouthfeel and all the things. And I think that's a really apt uh, metaphor or simile, I guess, to how we work with clients in an ideal world. We're there to wrangle their genius. We're there to set up the system that can absolutely best deal with the particular kind of mess they are. Because every client's a mess. If they weren't, they wouldn't need us. So, question isn't are restaurants hard or easy, good or bad, myth this or myth that. The question is, what kind of problems do you want to have? What kind of sauce, what kind of genius do you want to try and wrangle? And if it's restaurants, I promise you there's a pasta for that. There is a way to do that that makes it still systemized, even though you're dealing with their chaos. You just craft the systems to serve order and serve them to individuals. It's why it's so much easier to deal with a niche because systems are going to be very, 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 very applicable across your clients. How do you step into advisory from here? You plan for the big picture, you speak their language and honor their time, you set yourself up for being able to go past what you do or tweak what you do. And then also you take the torch you're handed. What do I mean by that? A lot of times we will say, "Out of scope," like, I can't do that, it's out of scope. That is us basically saying no to advisory. Most of the time, when you say out of scope to someone, they're asking you something that they don't want to deal with and they need someone to help. Sometimes it's they're just asking for favors and not wanting to pay for them. A lot of times, if you keep on hearing over and over again clients asking for a particular thing, you have to do it. But this little magic decision tree will tell you if you should. There's really no reason to not say yes, even if it's to direct it, to manage it, whatever. Saying that you don't have to say yes to every single thing, but dealing with any client niche, if you're getting the same requests over and over and over again, think about rather than those people are stepping on your toes, maybe recast that to those people are clamoring for advisory. Again, advisory isn't always predicting cash flow or saying, hey, this is what you should do 10 years from now. Sometimes it's just about managing the day to day, helping people manage the financial day to day, month to month, year to year. So connect, know your client, customize what matters by clarifying, and scale by refining your processes to meet the client base you're serving. This is why I love Zero for restaurants, because there is a thing called weekends, and those weekends happen every 5 days, every 7 days. And there are sometimes 3 weekends in a month and sometimes 4. And when we just do reporting that is comparing month to month, we are looking at sale. Even if we do accruals for payroll and all the things, we are always looking at sales that are comparing a different number of days, a different number of weekends, a different number of kind of Thursdays, etc. When you use Zero, they have really robust reporting that not only allows you to put in little things like calculations on KPIs, but it will also allow you to choose a particular portion of time, like 2 weeks, like a payroll period, and say, don't just show me the prior payroll period, show me the 10 prior payroll periods. And suddenly you've got period-based reporting where you can look at cost of goods sold and labor without doing a bunch of accruals. And you can see what those metrics are, and so can your client. They can see how it moves over time, and you don't have to do a whole spreadsheet and like a bunch of memorized date ranges to do it. So that's my sale on Zero, the 13 periods reporting. So you've got your niche and profile. One more thing, one more myth buster. Why, given all this, why do I think that beyond all these upsides and everything, why do I think food and beverage is a great niche for accountants? Number one, as I said before, we are food and beverage. Like, we probably have worked in it, we've been in it. They don't go under any more frequently than any other industry. We just tend to notice. No one's setting out a shingle for their Etsy store necessarily, so we don't know when Etsy store goes under. But with restaurants, we see the whole life cycle playing out in front of our eyes. Also, spending on this is just going up. It's just going up, and they have more problems and they have more automation to mine without needing clients to help us with it. Like, think about the POS. It's like a gold mine of information. Number two, remember this slide? Guess what? They can say the same thing about us. We're uptight, old-fashioned, obsessed with no. They think we're paper happy. and critical, and they think we're unresponsive. These are all myths too. A lot of the friction that comes from working with restaurant clients happens like when you have two people that are too much alike and too set in their ways. It just takes a little bit of pivot to actually really be in sync, because we actually are two sides of the same coin. So how do we do this? We let art inform science. We keep our systems back of house. We stop proving and start providing information, and recognize that the obstacles that we have for restaurants are actually the way to make money with restaurant clients. Finally, restaurants are important to all of our communities. They are going to be around forever. We are never not going to gather and share food and beverage. It's just never going to happen. It's been happening for millennia. It's ingrained in who we are, and it's important to support, particularly independence. And that's my soapbox. Beyond that, is a restaurant client good for you? If you are inclined toward wanting your clients to trust you, if you are inclined towards clients who favor the as is, who want an expert rather than wanting to become an expert, who need processes from you, who have lots of the same data rather than less data, but always different, and who needs the guidance more than they need a month-end report, a restaurant might be a good client niche for you. And this is your final permission slip. If you're thinking that you can't do restaurants because you don't have enough experience or you don't know enough things, number one, stop it. You don't know enough about vets either, or marketing firms or anything else. Like, you're fine. And that's what learning is for. Number two, you being even nervous about it is exactly the kind of conscientiousness that this niche needs. Number three, if you click this right here, I have all kinds of tools for you. And in addition, I will put in the chat a link to a course that I am teaching with Royal Wise and Alicia Pollock that will go over how to use QBO to do restaurants. However, a lot of the same processes will work in any GL, including Zero. There's a lot to learn, but you can learn while doing with this niche, because they're appreciative for anyone that is trying to serve them better. And that's it.
I'm actually going to
Any
post
questions?
I'm going to post these two poll questions real quick. I didn't
Oh,
you
I'm
were on
sorry.
you were totally on a roll, so I couldn't stop you. So, all right. So, poll number two, what do you like most about working with clients in any niche? Doesn't have to be restaurants. And just while people do that, what we'll leave this open for, 10 seconds or so, and then we'll post that third poll question right after that. And if people need to go, still need to stay around for probably 2 or 3 more minutes just to get in that 50 minutes if you need the CPE. Take a look in the chat. There's one really good question in there that from Cheryl that I think really sums
Yeah,
up people's concerns, like in that one question about restaurants. I mean, I read that, I'm like, wow, I don't know if I
yeah.
would want to work with restaurants, because those are great points. All right, we're gonna close that poll and we'll go ahead and post the third poll.
So Cheryl
And
has said, is there a software to do the cost accounting for a dish based on recipe ingredients? Do you review the pricing for each on the menu for your restaurant clients to make sure they are charging enough? There's all kinds of software that allow restaurants to create not only, hey, how much are the individual items am I ordering? How much do they cost? But also how much ingredients cost, and then how much ingredients are in a recipe and how much that recipe costs. And the reason that ingredients and items are different is because you don't always buy chicken from the same place. You don't always buy lemons from the produce market. Sometimes you have to go down the street to Albertsons or wherever and pick up some lemons. And those are two different costs. And if you feed the invoices into a system like this, they're going to be two different lemon costs. But they're all going to feed to that ingredient of lemons, and then that will give them the average price. So yes, there is software to do this. Do I review the pricing for each thing on the menu? Yes and no. Sometimes if they are wanting feedback on particular menu things, I do go through the pricing with them to make sure it's accurate. However, systems like Margin Edge and Plate IQ a little bit, Extra Chef, which is within Toast, they help to do that. Beyond that, though, being aware of what a client can do beyond just regular cost of goods sold. Sometimes it's not about you telling them what to do. Sometimes it's about you answering the questions that will give them the information so they can figure out what to do. I'm not telling my clients how to price. I'm helping them to find the data they need so that they can determine how to price because they know more about the restaurant than we do.
And then,
So,
great. Now look at the other question from Cheryl.
other question from Cheryl. Let's
Yeah,
see.
it was just
We're
above
just
that one.
one restaurant who has toasters and consolidated is crazy. They're now, how does everyone? There are systems like I think it's Chowly who will help you deal with delivery. I personally discourage my clients from using them just because of the particular kind of clients I serve. So I don't have to deal with these a lot, but I know that taking all this um, variety and having an app or a system that will consolidate it all down so that it's more streamlined and uniform for you to then deal with is a big deal and worth every penny. The amount shown on their websites rarely match the 1099K. That could be because they are including things that aren't actually sales. So your 1099K might have tips in it, it might have tax in it, might have all kinds of things in it. Just depending on how they report. So matching to the 1099K with restaurants isn't always a good way to evaluate, at least not one-to-one without doing some extra calculations. Where do you find restaurant clients? One of the places you can find restaurant clients is from people that don't like serving restaurant clients. And they will say, please take this restaurant client. Another place you can find restaurant clients is frankly being on the internet, doing things like this, answering questions for people if they ask in Facebook accounts and Facebook groups, etc. That really helps because restaurants will put off solving a problem until they have to sometimes. But then once they do, they will make a decision very quickly because they're busy and they just need it to work. And so sometimes it is literally the last person they talk to. They'll just be like, please, can you just please do my books, please? I've had interviews with potential clients where they wanted to give me their bank information after talking to me for 5 minutes. And it's not because I'm special. This was very early on when there wasn't a lot of automation. It was just because they just wanted to solve the problem. And so just being around is how you get clients to be honest with you. But it can be tough, because they're not necessarily taking their time looking at very much as being in the right place at the right time sometime.
And asking, right?
And
Ask the question.
asking,
Hey,
yeah.
I think I was talking with Deb Kilsheimer yesterday, and she said one of the questions she always asks, potential clients is, "Do you have a great accountant?" Not do you have an accountant,
Right.
but do you have a great one? And teeing herself up for, oh well, if you can't say you have a great one, then you should be
Yeah.
able to. You need one.
Yeah. And in that vein, well, I know you have to do another poll, right?
We do have one more we're going to launch, but go ahead.
Okay. In that vein, there are if you are a person who is just doing the accounting, uh, reaching out to tax preparers who are doing a lot of restaurants, but might be doing restaurants that are trying to do their own books is another way to find good good restaurant clients because their tax accountant might not be doing that stuff for them, but they are really sick of having everything be a mess and they know they need help. Ditto vendors who serve restaurants. A lot of
Hmm.
times they get upset with like something they know the restaurant has money, but they're constantly late paying bills, that kind of thing. So it's a little bit of a different approach, I think. But just being out there, people knowing that you love and want these particular clients is usually like step number one to this.
Hmm. Awesome.
So, yeah.
All right, I am going to post one more poll question real quickly, and that is, oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry. In that poll, we want to know if you are going to Intuit Connect in October. Anybody that's on here. Um, we're trying to get a pulse on it to see if we possibly can pull together an event while we're there, just a little gathering. Want to see what kind of numbers there may be because it was kind of seemed kind of light, like in our world, like our audience last year. QB Connect or Intuit Connect didn't seem like there were as many people who we knew there as there had been in the past. So we'll leave that up for about 5 more seconds, and then we will wrap this up. Kristen, if you have anything, any parting thoughts, hit them out now. Otherwise, we'll just close this thing out.
I put a link up to the maybe Gary can share it
Yep, it's
in the
been shared.
chat.
Yep. Oh,
Um
okay. Hold on.
and it's a link to the Royal Wise course that we're just launching. It's going to take place live in 2 weeks. And after that, you will actually be able to access it as just a standalone course. And if you're interested in seeing how all this stuff actually plays out, like the nuts and bolts inside a GL, I'd encourage you to attend. Please feel free to use the QR code to hit me up for all the extras if you're interested. And thanks for your time.
Very good. Thank you so much. We will see you all very soon. Hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow on tomorrow's webinar or one in the future. Thanks a lot.